Good morning and welcome to the Healthiest Coast with Healthiest Manitowoc County. I'm Tina Prigge and welcome to the show, Brittany Boyer with Healthiest Manitowoc County's Substance Use Prevention Coalition. Nice to see you, Brittany.
Hi, good morning.
So I'm kind of excited. We're starting this new segment. We're hoping to come to you monthly talking about the Healthiest Coast, things that viewers can do or participate in to learn more or be more healthy here across the coolest coast.
Yeah, it's our coalition is a part of Healthiest Manitowoc County, which is kind of a bigger umbrella. So not only are we going to talk about things my coalition is doing and trainings and resources we have available, but who else in the community has amazing things going on that we want everyone to know about.
That's awesome. So for anyone that might not already be aware, let's tell them what is Healthiest Manitowoc County and then what does your Substance Use Prevention Coalition do?
Yeah, so Healthiest Manitowoc County, like I said, is kind of an umbrella nonprofit that we have in Manitowoc that helps organize and support coalitions. So we have Investing Early, which works on getting youth and parents connected and how do you start reading at a young age and the importance of that relationship. And also like our coalition, which is substance use prevention, like you said, that focuses on how do we reduce youth access to substances in the community. So alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, and all the other stuff that we're starting to see in our community. How do we reduce the access that youth have to these and what in the community is causing an increase in substance use?
And with some of the conversations that we had, it's kind of getting more and more challenging, right? So I'm Gen X, and so the things we might have been aware of or the, secret hiding places and all that stuff, right? All of that is changing. It's a totally different world. And we'll get to that in another episode, but it's just really, I think, important that you're having these conversations and helping parents, helping educators, caregivers, all just be aware of how we can help our youth bring their best and be the best in our community.
Yeah, of course. And even working in this field, things change so quickly, it's hard for even us to keep up. So there's always like the delay of, well, we just learned this. Now we got to get out to the community. By the time we have the training, there's way more new information. So it always keeps rolling in. So yeah, it is constantly changing when it comes to substance use.
So talking about substance use, you've got some training coming up that we want to make people aware of. It's drug identification training for educational professionals. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, so kind of the title is, I think, kind of misrepresents what the training can do for the entire community. So we work with Nick Place, who works at the police department, who runs this training, does a fantastic job. But we've geared it into what used to be a 2-day training to a 1-day training. It's from 8:30 to, I believe, 4 o'clock. So it's a very long training, but it's an amazing thing. So the purpose is a 1-day training to educate and identify chemically impaired individuals to the different types of drugs that we're seeing, to make sure that we're creating safe environments, not only in our schools, but in our community as well. So when, like I said, the title is kind of misrepresents it just because we want to focus that everyone should be trained in this. Everyone should know the signs and symptoms of drug use, and everyone should know how to approach those situations safely.
Oh, yeah, that sounds really valuable, right? So helping educators, school nurses, administrators, law enforcement, parents, nonprofits, youth service organizations, pretty much this umbrella, you're talking about everyone could benefit from learning the signs and the symptoms, what to look out for, how to help before escalating, that type of thing.
Yeah, and us working in prevention, we always focus on what are the early warning signs of alcohol use, marijuana use, before it gets to the harder stuff like fentanyl, opioids, meth, heroin. So really trying to be on the curve of, if you really know these signs and symptoms and you notice them soon, you might be preventing, maybe not the start of drug use, but it getting to a place of addiction and treatment.
Okay, so this training is happening on March 20th. You said
Yes.
It's 1 day, it's like a 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. registration is required, but registration is also free. There's no cost to participate, right?
Yeah, there's absolutely no cost, and you get free food. So that's how we usually get people in the door, is free lunch. But yes, and I actually saw a question. We do have this on our Facebook page, the poster to sign up and everything. And there was a really great question on, this seems like a great opportunity. Are there really only 15 spots available? And we could provide the training to more than 15 people, but for some reason we don't seem to get that many people interested. So I don't know if it is the title of like education professional. That's not me. So I think it's really important to focus that this is for everyone. And if we do have more than 15 people, we are more than willing to accommodate more.
And you even mentioned before we went live that people can benefit from participating in this more than once because the conversation can shift and change. Like you said, the information itself is always changing, but also depending on who's in the room and the needs that they have, the conversation shifts and changes.
Yeah, like we were talking before we came live, the first one we had 2021 was all foster parents, was all social workers. So it was very much youth based in the system. You know, we know kids are using, how do we approach it? Versus the last one we had this October in 2022, it was all agencies within Manitowoc that worked with people in substance use or in recovery of, we drug test our employees, or we hire mainly people that are in recovery from some type of substance use. I need to know the signs and symptoms, so if they do relapse, or you know, if I think they're not being completely honest, that I have tools to be like, well, I don't think you're being honest because X, Y, and Z, and this is the behavior I'm seeing. So like you said, it's always the same information, but depending on who's in the room, the conversation is completely geared on your experience and what you need out of the training, and like everyone else and their questions. So it becomes a really cool experience.
And it can be a difficult conversation to maybe think about approaching on your own. And so I think connecting with the professionals about it, learning those talking points, learning the true signs and symptoms will help, parents, caregivers, educators alleviate some of that stress and give them the tools and resources.
Yeah, the reason I like these trainings is because these are really uncomfortable conversations to have, whether it be with youth or your coworkers or a family member. It's never easy. So just being able to give tools, the basic tools, we hope is enough to start those conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. So viewers, this DITEP training is happening March 20th. It's a 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. day. Lunch is included. It is free to sign up. It'll happen at the Manitowoc County Communications and Technology Building. Here's a little bit more information, and you can see at the bottom, participants must register by March 10th, and you can email Brittany B at newahec.org to register. Oh, Brittany, I'm just looking at the email address that we have rolling across the bottom. Should it really be Brittany B?
Yes.
Okay, let me change that. My gosh, you probably have people like trying to sign up and it's not going through.
It's okay. It's kind of a complicated email.
Here we go. All right, one more time. Sorry if you were using that previous email. It's Brittany B at newahec.org. Brittany B at newahec.org. You can register there by March 10th. Again, completely free to register. I just want to show this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brittany.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, it's completely free. Sign up. Please do it. We highly recommend it to everyone and anyone. I honestly have sat in on 3 different trainings with Nick Place, and so he's always a fantastic person to do presentations with, and all of his coworkers that he brings in are well versed in specifically Manitowoc County, so you're getting a personalized experience to your community.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up Nick. So Officer Nick Place, he did pop into the studio. We have a little clip of him explaining some signs and symptoms, how you can start from the top down. I want to play this clip, just so you can see who Nick is and you can get a real feel for his energy and what he's talking about and what you can expect at the DITEP training. All right, here we go.
advice to parents or to anybody who's learning about how to identify signs and symptoms of drug use is to start from the top and work your way down. So starting at the top, alcohol is a vasodilator. It's going to make the blood vessels, not just in your eyes, but across your body, across the rest of your body, get bigger, right? So alcohol increases those blood vessels in the eyes, makes them red, and it also makes your eyes very watery, slurred speech, an odor of intoxicants on their breath, and then the clumsiness, right? So people who are under the influence of alcohol don't have the best gait, they fumble for things, and they have poor coordination. As parents, again, a lot of these signs you've seen before, but going from top down, looking for those signs of impairment, starting at the eyes, checking if they're red and watery, droopy eyelids, and then going down, hearing for speech, breath, etc., and then watching the body movements are all great things to look for as signs of impairment for alcohol.
It seems really valuable to get objective facts and these tips from professionals so that a parent, an educator, anyone involved in the community can be armed with the right way to be looking for things.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Nick Place and some of his colleagues that do these trainings for us or help us do these trainings, they use the tips that he gives during the training are what they use in the field. So when they pull someone over and there's the suspicion of drug use or any type of substance use, these are the things they use in the field. So they've been proven to work, and he'll tell you about specific instances of like, he thought it was one thing, but one little detail switches it from one situation to a completely different one. So it's cool to have, like I said, the personalized experience to what really happens in our community. And it's kind of an eye opener of like, oh, like that happened like down the street from where we're having this training, or, oh, I live around the block from where that happened. And so he's very well educated in this and has a ton of experience that I think really adds to the training.
And so is this open to anyone, or do they have to have a specific affiliation? Do they have to live in Manitowoc City? Is it across the county is okay?
No, if you can show up to the meeting, we will be more than happy to have you. Technically, our coalition only does stuff within the county, but if you're going to be in Manitowoc that day, like I will have no problem having you at our table.
If somebody has questions before they register, can they contact you at this email address?
Yeah, so I have the direct email for Nick Place, so if I can't answer it, he can. But yes, please reach out if there's any questions. We'd love to hear from people. So even if you want to have a quick phone call, just let me know.
So you're involved actively in the Substance Use Prevention Coalition, and you've attended the DITEP training. When you attended, what's something that, stuck out to you maybe, or surprised you, or that you've taken with you all this time?
I don't know if my favorite part is the right way to put it, but so the department he does this training through, they go to Milwaukee every year, and they have people that are substance users voluntarily come into a gymnasium. They get, free food, get a health screen. But they record these people with, of course, their permission on, why do you use, or are you high right now? And one video that they show, or he shows every year, is this dude, maybe 28 years old, not very old, but definitely looks, after like 6 years of using heroin and meth, like looks like he could be in his early 50s. So not only seeing that of like, this guy's fairly young and he looks about 20 to 30 years old than he actually is, but he's talking about he shoots up in his artery in his neck, and the officer palpitates it and it's rock hard, and he says, yeah, like my doctor has told me that like, if I shoot up even one more time, that like it's so brittle and frail that it will kill me and it will explode if I try to inject one more time. And it's kind of like these very raw videos of these people being very open and honest about their substance use. And it's kind of this eye-opening of why these trainings are so important, of really getting the early warning signs of, I don't want to say marijuana and tobacco are, the soft drugs, but those are the ones that people usually try before your meth, your heroin, all your harder stuff. So it really kind of instills in you of like, I don't ever want anyone I ever know to have to get to this point where they are so they're struggling with their addiction so much that they know it's life or death, but they still want to. And you never really want to see someone you love or you care for get to that point.
Right. It's eye-opening to learn that the struggle is real. So as people attend the training, are there also then, resources and suggestions if they are able to identify, if they do come across somebody that has these signs of impairment, what's the next step, right? Is that part of what they learn to cope with?
Yeah, so like I said, it kind of depends on who is the room, if it's youth-based versus kind of more of your adults or people in recovery, how the conversation is geared, but Nick Place knows probably 10 times more resources in this community for substance use than I do. But those conversations usually are geared towards, hey, I'm taking this training because of so-and-so, or I work with so-and-so, and I'm concerned that they are using or they're relapsing, or I just want to know this information. Like, what do I do if, they are using? And so it really depends on the situation, and safety is a really big thing. If you're working with adults or someone that's going through a relapse, safety is a huge concern depending on where you work and the resources you have readily available. So I don't want to give like a definite answer of like, this is what you need to do, just because it changes on base to base. But if you come to the training with, a specific example, Nick Place is able to go through it. Well, this is the first thing you need to be worried about is safety. Once everyone is safe, you go to X, Y, and Z, or this is where I have taken people, or detox, or, kind of really depends.
It seems like it would be valuable to attend the training too, because then you have those connections, right? Then you know who Nick Place is. And even if at the moment there's not an issue, right? Maybe 2 months later, if something comes up that's kind of related to this, you know the resources to contact if you've got questions or somebody needs assistance or that type of thing.
Oh yeah, it like at least for my job in our coalition, like it really is prevention of, even if you don't need it now, that does not mean you might never need it. And just knowing the information can save someone's life, or can even prevent, like I said, a long life of addiction and treatment.
And it's hard if somebody is struggling with those issues to be, a productive and fulfilled member of the community, right? The community is better when everyone can be at their best. And so it is in all of our interests to help all of our friends, all of our neighbors, right, be at their best.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people realize it can happen to anyone. I believe the statistic is 1 in 4 people that try alcohol before the age of 13 become addicts and become dependent on other substances. So it's kind of, are you willing to take that chance of the 1 in 4 of, your 13-year-old getting addicted and then never realizing the signs and symptoms and never starting that conversation. And then it leads into, well, I don't know how my kid got to using opioids, or I don't know how they got to shooting up meth. So it's kind of, it all adds up, and the preventative part is really, really important part of this.
If somebody's watching, Brittany, and they currently have some concerns or some questions for maybe somebody they care about, love, or are connected to, even if they're not available to go to the training, or they can't wait until that happens, can they reach out?
Yeah, of course. We get emails all the time from, resources we have that I got an email from someone from Ohio, their police department, that a training we'll talk about next month are hidden in plain sight of, this is a great resource, like, hope we use this, like, this is something we really want to implement, of like, if anyone needs anything, we're more than willing to share any resources or any information that we have, whether you come to the training or you're just trying to see what's out there.
Awesome. All right, let's tell people one more time. So we are talking about drug identification training for educational professionals. It's called DITEP. The purpose of this one-day training is to educate, to identify chemically impaired individuals and types of drugs for the purpose of ensuring a safe environment. This training is happening March 20th from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. right here in Manitowoc at the Manitowoc County Communications and Technology Building. And you can register. You must register by March 10th. Only 15 participants. There's only 15 spots available. There is no cost to attend. Participants will receive a manual, certificate, and lunch is provided. This is, perfect training for educators, school nurses, administrators, law enforcement, parents, caregivers, nonprofits, youth service organizations, really the gamut. Does that about sum it up, Brittany?
Pretty much, yeah. It's really, like you said, open to anyone and everyone. And even if you don't know someone that's going through a substance use problem, just knowing the information could greatly help someone that you're close to, or a colleague or family.
Okay, so let's say somebody's not available for this training, and or this training, all of the spots fill up. Are there additional trainings that are planned? Does this happen more than once throughout the year? Is it an annual thing only?
So we do 2 every year. So we usually do one in October and one in March. If you aren't able to attend one of our trainings, just because they are during the week and they're very long sessions, and people have jobs and lives, so we know that they're not always available to come. But we do have the information to share to the public if they even just want the information. But also, if your agency or a group of you are interested in this training, we can get you in contact with Nick Place, and you can, have your own event for your own agency with him if you can't attend one of ours.
Oh, that's a really good point. So you don't have to wait until there's, Healthiest Manitowoc County Substance Use Prevention Coalition training planned. You can reach out proactively and schedule a time where Officer Nick Place could actually come to your organization and host one internally.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, no, the department he does it through for a free training. If you wanted to sign up with him, you would have to have 15 people. That's the minimum for the state requirement for the train to be free, which is why we have a minimum of 15. But if more than 15 want to sign up, that'd be great. But yeah, this can be literally a agency training that you want to do. If you want all of your staff to be trained, or if you are a family member, know someone in recovery, and you all want to be prepared in case, there is a relapse and there's 15 of you in your family that want to do it, he would be more than willing to help anyone out.
Nice. Well, one of the reasons, Brittany, that we thought that this segment, this Healthiest Coast with Healthiest Manitowoc County segment was important is because there are so many resources, not only these DITAP resources, but all of the resources that your agencies are providing in the community. And we really want to shed a light on them and make sure that viewers and folks here in the community are aware of them and how they can interact with them.
Yeah, so we have just started a youth resource hub, which has a fantastic website. It's a one-stop shop for all youth advocate, caregiver, anyone that is involved with youth or families. One-stop shop resource hub that you're able to select different categories, whether it be mental health, substance use, food, housing, an array of categories that we actually collaborated with Coolest Coast, who did a fantastic job, which thank you for that. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
But majority of our resources are on there, and depending on your needs, you can sort out which ones you need and which ones you don't. You go on there, you click on it, and it brings you directly to their website, and their contact information is directly on the website. So if you have a specific question, you're more than willing to reach out. But yeah, am I missing anything about our youth resource hub? I know we're hot on this.
No, that's awesome. Right. It is really meant to be a collective area, like a hub. That's the youth resource hub, so that all of that information is available in one spot, but then takes you right back to the source, right? It's like shining a light on what's all available and then gives you that direct access right back to that organization or agency.
Yeah, and then even before we did this, you guys had a great website on even what youth can do in the area, which I think is a huge thing people don't think about, because there's always the kids of there's nothing to do in Manitowoc, but there's no excuse because they have your website now of the fantastic things that are free, or what events are going on, and it's just in general a really great website.
Awesome. Well, Brittany, I'm so happy that you joined us here this morning to tell us about the DITAP training. I am looking forward to you coming back monthly so we can keep these conversations going about the work that Healthiest Manitowoc County and specifically the Substance Use Prevention Coalition are doing to make the Coolest Coast as cool as it is.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet. Thanks so much for watching. You've been watching The Healthiest Coast with Healthiest Manitowoc County. Thanks to our guest today, Brittany Boyer from HMC Substance Use Prevention Coalition. I'm your host, Tina Prigge. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.